Hello, hello. Welcome everyone to the Decentralized Masters podcast, your go to source for everything in decentralized finance. My name is Tristan, and I am here today with my co host, Rodrigo. Usually we have John on here, but John is actually on holiday today, so Rodrigo will be in here covering him for today. We come here every week, right here on Thursdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Time to bring you the latest insights, updates, and tools to help you in the DeFi space. So, Rodrigo, I thought I would start the podcast today just by going over um, who you are, what brought you into crypto, and how long you've been in crypto, and what you do with Decentralized Masters.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here and welcome everyone that joins. I am, as you guys have noticed, called Rodrigo. I am also a mentor here at the Centralized Masters. And I actually have a very fun story, but I got involved with crypto more than 2 years ago. And I got actually very interested about DeFi because I live outside of my native country, which is Venezuela, and my family actually lives there. And I used to send them money, literally going to a physical place where I had to do like a huge line, and especially because the place where I used to go to send them money, it was also the place where a lot of elderly people went to pay their services, their bills, basically. So I had to do like these huge long lines and everything. And crypto, when I got into especially DeFi, but crypto in general, caught my attention because I saw a way for me to actually send money to my family without had to do those long lines. And it was basically what changed my, like I said, I want my finance now to be basically all digital, in my personal opinion. All right. And then I became a mentor here at the Centralized Masters more than almost like a year ago. I started doing DeFi more than 2 years ago, and I really was interested about DeFi because specifically because it's actually a decentralized finance. I am not a believer on centralization, and I more than just a place where I could have passive income and everything that we teach and preach here. It's actually a space where I feel represented, basically. So I feel that that's a little bit about my background. And here at the Centralized Masters, I am a mentor, but I just haven't had the chance to be here on the podcast yet.
Yeah,
So thank
no,
you
I'm
for the
I'm
question.
glad I'm glad you're joining us today. So you
Thanks.
you went through the whole. Let's dive into that a little bit. You're from Venezuela originally, so you went through the whole hyperinflation crisis in Venezuela.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
I went through the entire crisis. Yes. I saw how the local currency was destroyed, basically. Actually, there's a curious thing, but Venezuela was actually one of the first countries in Latin America that where people started to mine Bitcoin, and it was because of this, basically because of the inflation, and people started to use cryptocurrencies because the local currency was so getting so inflated and so high in comparison to the dollar that cash basically didn't exist. Like if you were going to pay in cash, you will have to bring like packs of like money to pay just for I don't know like for one stuff. So
Hmm.
for people, it was more logical to start using dollars. So the economy not officially got dollarized, and also crypto, like because people said it doesn't make any sense to use our local currency anymore. So for me, cryptocurrencies also, I would like to say that I also live in Argentina, where I also dealt with a huge inflation.
He
And
went from the
it,
he went from the frying
yeah,
pan to the
it
pot.
was, yeah, it was like following me. So now inflation has stopped here in Argentina dramatically, but last government we suffered a huge inflation, and also cryptocurrencies allowed me to avoid those inflations. And something that I will also like to add, that some governments like to have control over the dollar, right? Because they have this belief that if people buy dollars, they don't believe in their local currency, which is what happened in Venezuela, which leads to inflation, as we all know, because you limit the amount of dollars that people can buy. When I found out that with crypto, I could buy any USDT that I wanted without having these government regulations, was shocking for me. Was one of the things that I said, okay, so I don't actually need. I want to hold. I want to save my funds in dollars, right? Because it's better than the local peso, the local currency. I'm gonna earn more if I save my funds in dollars. So, but how can I do it if the government is regulating the way that I actually purchase dollars? So crypto was also like a gateway for that, because they can't regulate USDT,
Yeah.
especially if you're in DeFi. So that's one of the stuff that of course caught my attention the most when it comes to DeFi, and that's why I feel more than just like a place to make money or have passive income. I feel that is my life, my like my lifestyle basically. Like I
Yeah.
feel it's I'm aligned entirely with what it's trying to preach, or what it's trying to teach. So
Mm.
huge fan of that.
And in Venezuela at the moment, do a lot of Venezuelans, are they actively using crypto? Like what percentage of the people that are still in Venezuela, I know a lot of them have left, but of the people that are still in Venezuela, how much do you think are using crypto?
There's actually a lot of people that uses crypto in Venezuela. I will say more than 50%. I was very shocked. Last year I went to visit my family, and I was shocked to see that at the local stores, people accepted USDT as a method of payment. And I actually bought a computer, which is the one that I am currently using, with USDT. I paid with USDT. The guy shared me his address, or I think he had. Most of the people use a centralized exchange. Of course, not all of them are so knowledgeable when it comes to the centralized exchanges, but they most of them use centralized exchanges. And he just shared me an address, and I literally sent him a regular transaction through the Ethereum chain, basically, and he received the funds and gave me my laptop. I was very shocked to see that. In Argentina, that's not common, for example. Even though Argentina, it's actually very also crypto friendly, kind of.
Hmm.
But I haven't seen that you can go to a place and buy anything with USDT. So I was very shocked to see that. And of course, it is related to what I explained before, and how people has felt that cryptocurrencies allow them to avoid regulations and also avoid inflation of the local currency. What is the point of saving funds in a currency that I know is not gonna be worth anything, or it's gonna constantly lose its value? I prefer to hold my funds in Bitcoin or in USDT. Uh, we can speak about the dollar price later if you want, but I'm speaking about South America, right? So inflation here it's higher. So that's why Venezuela actually, even though it sounds crazy, it's one of the countries in South America where people use most like cryptocurrencies, even with the government trying to avoid that, or like to people not to do that basically. But it's if you use DeFi, it's very difficult to track you exactly, and so
Hmm.
I was very shocked about that. But indeed, there is a lot of people that use it.
Yeah, I see. I see. I was in Sweden about 2 years ago, and they I was in a museum. It was a museum of money, and they had a wheelbarrow of Venezuelan bolivars, like an entire wheelbarrow
Wow.
of Venezuelan bolivars, and it had a little sign above it, and it said, "This is worth $2 US."
Yeah, that's crazy. Well, there's a story. I'm not gonna dive so much deeper into that, but it's kind of related to. There is a video game that's called RuneScape. I don't know if you're aware of it,
Yep.
but like because of the game, it's so old and any computer can run it basically because it's a game from like 2003. People in Venezuela used the like computers that the government used to give, like these very bad computers, to play RuneScape, and the money inside RuneScape was even higher than the local currency. So people were playing the video game as an actual job. Like they were taking in serious the video game because they were
Mhm.
earning more money with the digital currency that was created on a video game than the local currency itself. So you can see it also as a basically it was not crypto, but at the same time it's a digital currency. And there is actually a war that happened inside the game. That's an amazing story. Like a Venezuelan clan teamed against. So it's very curious. But that's something that happens a lot in countries in South America where they have to deal with this huge inflation. People tend to use cryptocurrencies as an escape, especially DeFi. It's an exceptional gateway because you avoid these regulations that the government puts into the dollar. Here in Argentina, when with the last government, it's literally it was like that. I'm not saying like an opinion or anything. I'm saying what happened. Literally, you could only bought $200 per month, and you had to complete a series of requirements. For example, if you received any bonus from the state, let's say that you are someone that receives any type of social plan or something like that, you are not allowed to buy dollars. These type of regulations are what creates inflation, basically, because governments tend to or want to have more control over the currency and more control over the dollar, especially. I'm speaking about South America, like changing the local currency for dollars because they
Yeah.
believe that people should have their money in their local currency. But why would I want to have my money in a local currency that it's constantly gonna keep losing its value? I prefer to have Bitcoin. Why?
Mhm.
Bitcoin keeps growing, opposite to having a local currency here. So the more regulation that you have, the more control that you have, it's gonna lead you to inflation. So decentralization, it's the opposite basically, or at least I see it that way, and that's why DeFi also for me it's like uh, in terms of my
A way of
finance, my
life.
type of finance. Yeah, literally, it's literally my life, man.
I
Thanks.
know, because on the podcast like 2 weeks ago, I brought up a news article, and it was from Bolivia, and in
Okay.
Bolivia, they're running into inflation as well right now because the government's running out of money because no one is buying, like the price of natural gas right now is really low, and
Mhm.
that is the only thing that Bolivia has as a resource. So the government is racking up a ton of debt, but they're getting a lot of inflation, and you can see with the article, what the article was saying is that people are actually selling items in Bolivia uh, for USDT. So it said like 5 USDT dollars in the grocery store for a pack of smokes or something, and they're actually selling products in real life for USDT, like you were
Yeah,
saying
like in
they
Venezuela.
were doing in
Yeah.
Venezuela. So yeah, it's a different world. I know we're very spoiled in the Western nations where our currencies are usually okay, but because the rest of the world is, yeah, it's a very different reality. So what are the stable currencies in South America? Just Uruguay, Chile. Those ones
Well,
are
now
okay.
Argentina has, well, I can't put Argentina as an example because it fluctuates too much, but currently it's actually been very stable. The price of the peso has stayed between stable range since this new government entered. Last government lifted the peso like 1 peso. No, sorry, $1. It's worth 1,000 pesos since the current government entered, it has stayed similar to that price. It has gone up, but it hasn't gone like like it was before, that it tend to climb a lot. So something that is also very common here in Argentina is working remotely for um, like for an outside company that pays you in crypto, for example. So
Mhm.
you can actually earn more now as the peso has stayed. It's not so different. But back then, like with the regulations and everything, you used you imagine that you were getting paid, I don't know, $1,000. This is just an example,
Mhm.
every month, and you paid rent in pesos. So every time, as the inflation was so high, every time you were paying less rent, actually. So people that owned a property, they were getting, like they were not earning nothing.
They
I
weren't earning.
actually
Yeah.
and also the government controlled also that. The government put a rule that was that you can only do a contract like per tenant for 3 years, and you have to establish a price that changes only once per year. So the inflation was so high that you had to pay a similar price on a single entire year. That, like, imagine the price will change next year, not now. And inflation was so high that if you get paid in dollars, I don't know, this month maybe I paid $100 in rent, and maybe next month I pay $50. And the owner of the property that I live, he spoke to me and said, "Hey, I know that this is not okay because you signed an agreement, but literally I am not making any money. Like, I'm literally not earning anything from your rent. Could I could we make a deal?" And I said, "You know what? I understand you. I completely understand. So yeah, let's make a deal." But that was like a spoken deal outside of the actual agreement that I signed.
Yeah.
I could be a bad person and say, "You know what? No, because we have an agreement." But this type of stuff are what marks basically like inflation.
Yeah.
That's what it leads to inflation. And especially what I like to say, centralization or over control over stuff, it's what leads to that type of stuff basically. And here in Argentina, for example, they were facing this situation like similar to Bolivia, but the solution that they had wasn't to cut the basically the amount of money that they were wasting, because they had a lot of plans, they had a lot of stuff, like ministers and everyone with a huge salary. Their solution was
Mhm.
to print more money instead of, like, let's just cut this. No, so they were just saying, okay, you know what, we can't pay this, but we need to pay it. How are you going to pay it? Well, let's print money. So that was just literally inflation, inflation, inflation. So
Inflation.
people,
Inflation.
as I said, literally said, okay, you know what? My Argentinian peso is not going to be worth anything. I prefer to save my funds in USDC or USDT or Bitcoin, Ethereum, and it's going to be best. I even said to some friends of mine, buy at least, I don't know, it could be $5, but it doesn't matter. Every month, at least you should buy like 5 USDT or 10 USDT and just keep stacking it, because with this inflation, you're going to have more with time, basically. So it has changed. But when it comes
Mhm.
to when it comes to stable coins here, I will consider maybe Chile. Chile, probably one of the strongest economies in the South America region. Uruguay, for sure, also very stable. Uh, Argentina, now I will consider it. But I think that the other countries, well, Peru, it has actually surprisingly a very stable coin as well, even though they have changed a lot in terms of government. But actually, the sol, it's not so far from the dollar. I think it's like $1. It's worth three soles,
Mhm.
so it's not so much. And I think those are the countries. Ecuador is it's a country that is
Ecuador's on the
entirely,
dollar.
well, yeah, exactly. Their local
Yeah.
currency is the dollar, so they don't have inflation, but at the same time they do. It's kind of weird. And yeah, the other ones, Colombia dealt with a lot of inflation recently as well. Brazil, it's also
Brazil too.
dealing
Yeah.
with that. So yeah, it's different, the type of inflation that we live here. Here, its
Yeah.
percentages are higher, but people tend to also save their funds in cryptocurrencies due to that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a different world. I've spent
It is.
I've spent quite a
It
bit of
is.
time down there myself. So
I know.
yeah, it's not the lucky. We're very lucky in United States, Canada, Europe, where things our currencies kind of well not Europe, but Canada, United States, our currencies have largely stayed the same for most of the time. But yeah, it's great. Thank you for sharing that story.
No, no worries. You're welcome.
It's eye opening for people who don't
Yeah,
realize
I want to get into
cryptocurrency
decentralized
is
finance
more. Yeah, it's
for
more
sure.
than
Yeah,
just a way to
indeed.
make money. It's a way to actually save your money, be
Exactly.
independent. Exactly, you don't have to rely on the government, because relying on the government it could get you in situations like if you
Yeah.
relied on the government in Venezuela, you'd be broke, you'd have no money. So
Yes.
uh,
Exactly.
you can rely only on yourself at the end of the day, and Bitcoin lets you do that.
Exactly.
Speaking of Bitcoin, today we'll go through a little bit of news that has happened this week. We got a little bit of news out of the Federal Reserve. We got a little bit of news regarding the price of Bitcoin. As of this moment, we are at Bitcoin price of $119,000, so doing really well. And we can go a little bit into the good old crypto bubbles. This wouldn't be a Let's Talk Crypto podcast without the bubbles. So at the moment, we can see that the market today, a little bit good, a little bit bad. Maybe getting a little bit of a pullback from this week. As you see on the weekly
Yeah.
basis here, it is terrific.
Major green.
Oh yeah, lots of the meme coins have been doing very well. You got Bonk up 57%, Floki up 34, Pingu 63, Fartcoin 24. So the ISO tokens also doing really well. So XLM up 58% this week.
XLM went up by a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, HBAR, XRP. So all those ISO tokens doing well. So congratulations to you guys. I know a lot of people out there are holding them. Not me though. Do you have any little opinions on XRP, Rodrigo? XRP, XLM, HBAR.
When it comes to XRP, I think my opinion, well, probably it's not. I mean, I personally don't hold XRP. I don't like personally the tokenomics of the asset. It's
Mm-hmm.
something that I just personally don't feel aligned with. Uh, Also, I like, as I said, DeFi. So XRP, it's yet to be big in the DeFi ecosystem. I know that recently we saw Coinbase creating a wrapped version of XRP to get into liquidity pools, but that has been something that hasn't majorly, exploded. Personally, I don't hold XRP, and if I am asked why, I will answer what I just said. But I understand that there's a lot of people that like the asset, and I have noticed also that people that holds XRP, it's a very strong community. I can say that they are very huge believers in XRP, in that the asset will be the next, like, I don't know. I'm not sure if Bitcoin, but like the next huge asset, and it's gonna be worth 1,000 in the future, or so. It's something that I actually admire, but it's just not aligned with my personal preferences. Now that you showed there the yearly performance, I want to say that it's unbelievable to see Sui. I love Sui. So look at how much it has performed in 1 year. Of course, XRP has performed amazingly, so people can be like mad at me because of that. But Sui, it's an asset that I really like and that I personally hold. And one of the reasons also it's because it has a lot of DeFi protocols and a lot of use in DeFi. So yeah. What about
Yeah,
you?
no, I'm big fan of Sui myself. I think Sui is doing terrific here. I think we're at just at $4 now, right? Close to it.
Yeah,
Yeah, $4
we
and
reached I think now it's coming a little down, but we reached 4 today, and it's going between those ranges. But currently, live right now that we're speaking, it's at 4.01,
Yeah, not
and
bad.
I think that I'm targeting Sui to go into 5 or 6 maybe this run.
Yeah, because I know we decentralized masters Doc. So for those watching the YouTube channel, you guys are all probably familiar with Doc, DeFi Doctor. He does all the videos. He found Sui like super early, like at something that was
Yes,
like 30 cents or something. So yeah, lots of
I
good.
I actually I actually bought Sui the first time that I got into Sui. I bought it at 0.70, and it was,
Wow.
I remember, because I saw on an advanced session that Tyler was speaking about it. So he was showcasing some like on-chain data about the blockchain and speaking about the asset, and I got intrigued about it. I said like, I never heard of it. Like, Sui, what's this? And then I just started to do my research. I saw like the network, the DeFi protocols, and I remember that I bought it at like 0.70, and then I watched it literally going to 5, and that was one of the biggest victories that I've had in like DeFi and crypto. I actually took profits on it and everything. So it was actually very good. You know that we always
Yeah.
have this culture of encouraging people to take profits. With Sui, it was difficult because sawing it climbing so much, but it's when you need to actually let your emotions don't control you and know that it will be best. What happened after? Market went down, so it was the right time for me to buy it, to sell it. And now I am also targeting for another point for me to take profit as well. But it has been the asset where I have performed the best
The greatest. Yeah.
personally. Yeah,
Yeah, no, the Tyler's gem sessions are great. So
the best ones.
for those who are watching this and not a member yet, if you want to get a little bit of a taste of what we do at Decentralized Masters, make sure to click on the free group down in the description below, and you can kind of get a little taste of what we do at DM.
We've been speaking
So
about Louis since like early 2023,
oh yeah,
before it got into all of this. So we know a lot of stuff around here.
yeah, we're often ahead. It's nice. We were very early on
Definitely, man.
mantra on OM. That was
Yeah,
no,
also.
yeah, it was
Yeah, that
great
ended up
until it
and
wasn't.
didn't end up so well, but if you took profits, probably one of the best ones. He also
Yeah,
called Radium. Radium was one of the assets that he called also when it was at like 0.20. I remember literally early 2023 as well. Then Radium was one of the assets that I also got in, and I took profits around 8 when it hit 8, and I bought it around 2. So everything thanks to Gem sessions that I just followed. I was a huge attendee for those Gem sessions. I was like at my beginnings here at the Centralized Masters.
yeah. No, I try and stick around for the gym sessions as much as I can. Looking at the fear and greed index at the moment, that is actually looking pretty high now. We're climbing up
Yeah,
even higher into greed. We're not extreme yet. It hasn't gotten there yet. But we are getting into the greed section definitely. Because last week when I did the podcast, we were still fairly neutral. So that would probably be about end of June here. We were still fairly neutral, but now we have definitely moved into the greed section now. So whether that's saying is the market going to is it close to a top or something? That's a little bit harder to say. We're not extreme yet. Like when it was extreme, that was in
yeah. November,
February,
December.
yeah, November, and then we
Yeah,
had the
post
Trump
election.
the Trump crash, and then it went to extreme
Yeah,
fear. So whenever it
which was
gets
the time
into
to
those
buy, basically.
extremes, yeah, it's a little bit
Yeah,
scary in those extreme greed. Maybe you should be thinking about taking some profit. And
that's
whenever we're
correct.
getting into extreme fear, maybe you should be looking at maybe getting into some positions. Of course, not financial advice. That's just one thing to keep an eye out for, though.
But it's very
Yeah.
interesting if you look at it from like the on each asset chart, uh, because of course now we're looking at the fear and greed index. But if you look at, for example, SUI chart, you can see how the patterns are very similar and how it touches bottom around when the fear was in extreme fear, and then it just starts climbing. So if you actually look at the data and history and do research on charts and all of that, you can see how identifying those points can actually help you a lot to take good profits. And that's something that we teach here at the Centralized Masters. More into detail, of course, with different techniques, but showcasing each individual chart for each asset, you can see how the patterns are very similar to that. And
Mhm.
using those tools, you can identify which could be good entry points and good selling points as well.
Yeah, and that's just based all on that's based on the emotion of the market, because you got to remember these charts are just, it's a battle of millions of different traders out there saying whether this
Yeah.
should be worth more or less. So it's all psychology. So if you can identify when the psychology of people is becoming quite greedy or extremely fearful, you can actually, trade on that.
And actually, people tend to see it the opposite. And I don't know if this has happened to you, but I I always have this saying of like when your friend that is not familiar with crypto asks you which crypto you should buy, is when you should sell your crypto. Like that's the time when
Yeah.
you should sell it.
Yeah.
And that has happened to me a lot when people see Bitcoin rising. Like I have a group of friends that like more than 1 year ago, I told them buy Bitcoin. I just literally told them buy Bitcoin. When Bitcoin reached like 100K, they were all messaging me like, "Hey, how can I buy Bitcoin?" I was like, "Are you're gonna buy Bitcoin now? I told you
Yeah.
1 year before when it was at 33 that you should buy it." And that's the psychology part that is very interesting. So people tend to buy when markets are green, and they tend to sell when markets are red. You should do entirely the opposite.
Yeah.
It's not like that. And I have noticed that with those type of friends, because they bought, I don't know, I'm gonna buy radium. Then radium goes down 10% and they get all scared. No, 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 I'm selling it. I'm like, you lost money. Why do you did that? So it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's something that we also, if you look at as what I was trying to explain, if you actually do analysis on the charts of the assets, you can identify those points. And it's something that we can definitely teach here further and that we do in the centralized
Yeah.
masters. No,
Exactly.
do not
Exactly.
let your emotions control you, basically. So very important.
Yeah, and I wanted to do one other little index here, and then we'll get into some news articles. But this is the altcoin season index, and for the first time in a while now, we have actually started moving up. So we are now trending towards an altcoin season. We're giving up a little bit of the Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin's losing some of its dominance here. Ethereum is definitely outperforming Bitcoin. And even if you look down here on the top 100 coins, their performance over the last 90 days, you can see that Bitcoin is all the way down here. And usually Bitcoin is all the way up here.
Yeah.
So you can see that the actual Bitcoin dominance is falling compared to the rest of the crypto market. We should also be able to see it here. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're seeing a bit of, a weakness, which is a bit of a change than what we've been used to for the last 6 months. And that could potentially mean, potentially, I know we were talking about it in our monthly call today with Ten and
Yes.
Salim, that, maybe, fingers crossed, we're moving towards a bit of an altcoin season.
That is correct. And if you look actually at the data for previous cycles, you can see how those patterns are in some, of course, not specifically identical to the current ones, but that everything when Bitcoin dominance tends to go down, and you can see that with, for example, the last cycle, how it happened, the altcoins are the ones that, on a short term at least, tend to get better returns, basically. So we are looking, or at least personally, I am aiming for an altcoin season to finally happen. I know that a lot of people has been like asking for that, especially with Bitcoin reaching its all-time high price at the end of the year, and people always saying that when Bitcoin reaches a new all-time high price, altcoins tend to outperform. So that is something that, as you said, fingers crossed on that to happen. Returns could be very good, but it will be also nice to know when to get out, because if that actually happens, it's going to be very fast, and you need to have properly set up your exit points on each one of those assets, which of course we can help you to do here at the Centralized Masters.
Of course, of course. All right, so we can get into some articles
For
now.
sure.
Let me pull those up. There we go. All right, so we do a little bit around the world news first here. The Czech Republic, so in Europe, they have went out and purchased Coinbase shares. So the Czech National Bank, so the actual main bank of the Czech, they have been purchasing shares of different tokens, different stocks, different assets, just like the Norwegian wealth fund or any of the ones in the UAE or in the Middle East. These wealth funds go out and buy assets of different companies. Czech Republic also has their version of that. So they purchased some Palantir. So that is a very large, basically cybersecurity company based out of the US. But what's interesting is they also went out and purchased some Coinbase stock. Now, the Czech Republic doesn't hold any crypto in its sovereign wealth fund at this point in time. However, adding Coinbase to the sovereign wealth fund is basically the second closest thing that you can get to straight up owning cryptocurrency. So it's only another step that they really have to take to actually make to actually go out and buy actual crypto. So at the moment, they don't hold Bitcoin, they don't hold any other cryptos, but countries are slowly getting closer and closer to actually adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. The next country on the list today that was making the news was Bhutan. Bhutan always seems to make the list. Bhutan is actually one of the countries that has been stacking Bitcoin since about 2016, 2017. Bhutan has lots of hydro, so lots of waterfalls, and then they put lots of dams on it. So they've been very fortunate in terms of energy. But they've been using that energy, excess energy, to actually mine Bitcoin for quite some time now. So they are the ultimate holders of Bitcoin as far as countries go. But why they made the news specifically this week is they moved $74 million worth of Bitcoin, so 650 Bitcoin, onto their Binance exchange. So this isn't actually very bullish news. This would actually be a little bit bearish. They may have put it on there so they could potentially sell it. So a little bit of selling pressure right now from Bhutan, maybe. But at Bitcoin at 120,000, maybe that's going to some development, country development or something. I know.
Yeah, sorry. No, I wanted to ask you something. When you see governments or major companies and all of this massive income or money flowing into crypto, do you feel that this could lead into potentially stop the crypto markets going into like this bull cycle, bear market as we know it, and we could enter maybe more like stable phase due to basically all of the acceptance that crypto is getting? I feel that now crypto is taken more seriously than it was maybe in last cycle, where it was more like pump and fun, to say it that way. Of course, not in all of the assets, but I feel that you understand where I'm going. How
Yeah,
do you feel
yeah,
about
exactly.
that?
That's a good question. We've talked about it once or twice before. I like countries like Bhutan Bhutan going into crypto. I like countries like El Salvador getting involved in crypto. That doesn't concern me. There's only a few million people there, and they're usually those, especially like El Salvador. Their currencies were, being hyperinflated. There's tons of corruption. So to have actually Bitcoin as their, a major
Sure.
source of their resources, I'm actually fine with the countries going in that direction. I don't think most will. I don't think the United States ever will. I don't think China ever will, because when you go down the Bitcoin route, you lose control over your currency. And then it's kind of the people. The people are in charge, and most governments don't want that. When it comes to the banks, though, that's where I think you're right. Like, I think the more the banks get involved, more these big financial institutions like the Goldman Sachs, the JP Morgans, the more they get involved, the more our 4-year cycle will be warped. I guess that's a good word for it. I think we're still going to be on it. I think we're still going to, have the same cycles that
Yes.
we've been having. I
Especially,
think they'll just be weaker. They won't be as extreme.
yeah, and especially because, I mean, of course, technically speaking, like more than avoiding this, we also are yet to have another halving, for example, for Bitcoin. So
Mhm.
kind of like the halving has also leading to all of these bull market and bear market like cycles. But I just feel that with time, on a personal opinion, of course, I don't see Bitcoin dropping as it dropped in 2021 again. Basically, maybe of course it will have its highs, it will have its downs also. But this cycle, for example, when we saw Bitcoin going down, if you actually look at it, it went down only like 30% into its lowest point since its all-time high price in December. I think in 2021 the corrections were higher. We were speaking about like, yeah, there was like
Yeah.
50%, then it was up like 70%. So yeah, I just feel that with all of these all of this movement happening, we could potentially start seeing an end on those type of patterns. But I wanted to see your opinion.
Yeah, no, I think those patterns, they'll stay, but they're not going to be as strong. So instead of dropping 30%, 40%, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 10. We won't have
Yeah,
that same massive
I
fluctuations that we used to.
I think that we're gonna have an out season, and we will definitely see a drop in the market for sure, especially on alt.
Yeah.
But not sure if we're gonna see it as it happened on 2021, 2022. I feel this time it's more different.
Yeah,
Acceptance,
we're late.
crypto is taking more seriously. Governments are getting into it. People, it's more, I don't know, and also people has learned more about crypto. People that was involved in crypto, like in 2021, in 2017. So I just wanted to comment that because it's something that I found very interesting, actually.
Yeah, no, and I agree. I think things are, with the institutions coming in, and even countries now at this point. Yeah, it becomes a little bit different. We got
Yeah,
another country that's been adding crypto to their sovereign wealth fund. That's Kazakhstan. We talked about this. I think it was 2 weeks ago. They're going to take the crypto that they've gotten from any criminal cases. So a lot of the time when a country prosecutes some criminals, they have Bitcoin or something. They take it, they sell it. Kazakhstan is actually going to hold it, so they're going to follow the United States model, where if anyone is convicted and their crypto is confiscated, the United States will hold it going forward. That was brought in by this administration. Kazakhstan's going to follow that same pattern. So we're getting more and more, Bitcoin and crypto interest out of these Asian countries: Bhutan, Kazakhstan, Hong Kong, Singapore, Dubai, the UAE.
yeah,
So Asia is actually becoming the hot spot for crypto. Everyone always looks to the United States, but it's really global. It's really global. Even and then like Rodrigo's talking about today, like in Latin America,
Yeah.
the governments are less. They're not so much interested in crypto, but the people themselves, but the people of Latin America, they do use a lot of crypto because it's safe. It's safer than than the alternative.
Yeah, that is correct. That is correct.
Yeah. Another country, we go back to Europe now, Bulgaria. This is quite funny. They had 213,000 seized Bitcoin in 2017. They sold it back in 2017 for $3.5 billion. That Bitcoin that they had back then would now be valued at $25 billion. And that would be able to pay off the country's entire public debt. So if countries were better holders, like Bhutan or like El Salvador,
Yeah.
some of these public debts would be able to be completely eliminated. But so funny story. Countries don't always make the best holders of Bitcoin. Yeah, and this is just
They
what I was
sold
talking
their
about.
Bitcoin in 2017.
Yeah, they sold it in
Wow.
2017. Yeah, gotta hold diamond hands.
Have you
And
sold
this
Bitcoin?
Me, Bitcoin. I've sold Bitcoin around the tops. I wish I just held. Of course, I wish I just
I
held.
think that
Um,
everything you come up with the same like opinion.
yeah,
Always.
the same
I
answer.
I I
Eh,
I sold it once also, and since then I haven't sold anything. I just keep buying actually.
Yeah, I know. I know one of our mentors here, Anakin. I'll probably get him on the pod at some point. He's a total
He
Bitcoin
will love to
maxi.
hear what I just said.
Yeah.
He will love to hear what I just said. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get him on the pod at some point. But basically, one of the things we talk about decentralized masters when doing portfolio construction is don't sell your Bitcoin. Just hold on to the Bitcoin. If you want to, you can, of course, but for the most part, Bitcoin's just going to do a slow and steady up, 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 up,
Yeah,
and up.
and if you look at it like performance wise, yearly has been probably the best asset, and long term it has been the best asset. So it's like I personally, like my personal take is just that I feel that I don't take so much in consideration the price of Bitcoin when holding Bitcoin comes to place. I take in consideration the price of Bitcoin because, of course, it kind of like marks the market. Like if Bitcoin goes
Hmm.
up, you can see how altcoins tends to also go up and all the stuff. Like you can see Bitcoin price as an indicator, basically. But when it comes to holding BTC, personally, I just want to have more BTC because Bitcoin
Hmm.
it's like uh, something that it's outside any regulation, and it's the best way for you to have a generational wealth, in my opinion, my personal opinion. So at least that's my strategy. So something that we teach here is how to set up those type of strategies, and like how to DCA, for example, that is dollar cost averaging, and it's something that I personally do, especially with Bitcoin.
Oh yeah,
It doesn't
definitely,
matter if
and
it's like
myself
ten
as well.
dollars. Yeah, you also
Yeah,
do you have
definitely.
a specific
I
amount?
I do a little Bitcoin buy every week.
Yeah, same. Not
Yeah.
every 2 weeks. So
Yeah. What else we had? A bit of news in the United States as well. We have some bills going through Congress at the moment. They didn't go through as easily as we thought. The bill, actually, we had one not yesterday, but the day before. Congress actually voted no against it, and that was the Genius Act for stablecoins and anti CBDCs. It was actually got it voted down. 13 all the Democrats opposed it, and then 13 Republicans opposed it as well. So the bill got struck down. Trump had to do an emergency meeting with members of Congress, got some things changed, and it should go through sometime later this week now. But yeah, lots of good bills coming through crypto at the moment. It's great to have a crypto-friendly administration for once. So keep, although they're not exactly Bitcoin friendly, at least they're crypto friendly. So we got to take what we can get. Uh, Trump
yes,
also, I was listening to him yesterday in a live stream, and oh my god, he was just like Jerome Powell. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's full of corruption. He's building a building. It's too expensive. We got to get rid of this guy. So they can't fire Jerome Powell. They're not going to get rid of him. But they've been talking about would they. He was talking about to the Republican congressman about would they fire him, and they're like, definitely we would fire him. He's not going anywhere yet, but they're probably going to appoint a new chairman of the Federal Reserve a lot earlier than they normally would. And it's just to give the market some juice to say, hey, look at this new guy. He's coming in and he is going to cut rates. Whereas Jerome Powell, he's been very sticky
How do you
or
think
very
that,
hesitant.
how do you think that can affect the market?
I think, well, number go up to put it real simple. Just because if they cut rates, and we talked about this today,
No,
as
I don't
with
think
all our
so.
members.
Oh
No,
yeah, yeah,
we talked
yeah,
about
yeah.
if we
I
cut if
thought
we
that you
cut
were referring
rates.
to the podcast. Yeah.
Oh, no. If we were talking about this to our private group and our members, if they cut the rates, then that is risk on environment. That means people will be taking more risky investments, and you know what a risky investment is? It's altcoins, and that would be a major boost into an altcoin season. So I think if we do get rate cuts, we're still supposed to get 2 or 3 this year. That is just extra fire onto any kind of altcoin season that we may have.
Yeah, and we have even saw a lot of green in the market without rates being cut. So
Yeah.
that's one of the things that most of us are kind of like waiting and anticipating to what could be a major event, which, as I have mentioned, we can of course help people to be properly prepared for that type of moments because they happen very fast at
Mm-hmm.
certain points, and you just can't believe it when you see your assets going like 100% up. But it's important to be prepared, to be spread out, and we teach those type of techniques and abilities here at the program.
Yeah. Time. There's a saying. It's time in the market beats timing the market.
Yeah, that is correct.
That's true for crypto very much.
It is.
We also had the Pump.Fun token ICO. Rodrigo, you're a holder of Pump.Fun token?
No, I'm not. I'm not. Unfortunately, I didn't. So no.
No,
We were speaking
it's
about this also earlier today.
yeah. This got into the private conversation as well. I got a little chart here. I'm not sure how well you guys can see it, but it gives you a bit of a token distribution here. And you can see that 20% of the Pump.Fun tokens went to the team, 13% went to VCs, so existing VCs, 33% went to the ICO, but the other portion here went to some exchanges, the foundation itself, some of the ecosystem, and as well as the people who were using Pump.Fun. So a lot of the main creators of Pump.Fun, they got a large contribution. So at the moment, I think a lot of that, for example, like the team, the creators, the existing investors, that is close to what 60%. They might be eager to start selling Pump.Fun tokens, so that might tank the price a little bit. So it's something I'm avoiding for the meantime.
Yes,
I think Pump.Fun is cool, but I'm avoiding the token.
and it got listed on Coinbase.
Oh yeah, so they're gonna dump it on the Coinbase guys.
Yeah, so I wanted to speak about that. That, for example, this is a clear example of how, if you access the native crypto markets, you can, of course, taking in consideration the risk. That is something that we are going to teach as well. Getting to these type of assets, this is a very specific case, but that some assets that are not yet listed on Coinbase and you can have massive returns. So Pump Fund like the token got listed on Coinbase, and since then the price didn't majorly went up. And
Nope.
also, as you said, I wouldn't trust so much the distribution of the asset. That's when also analyzing the tokenomics of each asset comes to place. And it's very important to understand that some assets are very centralized when it comes of its distribution, and owners of the asset can basically, like they can basically sell it. So at any
Yeah.
point in time,
Yeah.
and that could cause a major dump in the asset. That's what
Yeah.
happened similar with Mantra, right?
Similar thing happened to
Or
Mantra. Lots of things similar happens with like meme coins. Once something gets listed on Binance, Coinbase, because they were already trading on the primary markets, the native markets, and then they get listed on the exchanges, and then they dump.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it
You need
is.
to know when to sell.
You
That's a
need to know
risk
when to
that
sell.
happens.
Yeah, or
And
know how to use
especially
primary
that's
markets.
exactly, and that's when also I go into being a Bitcoin maxi.
Yeah.
Use their assets just to take profits, and maybe you can get him into Bitcoin, for example. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Take the profits, move to Bitcoin. CZ, so CZ, founder and former CEO of Binance, created a little bit of a Twitter feud this week. Bloomberg reported that CZ was actually linked to Trump's new stablecoin USD1, saying that CZ and Binance were behind the creation of it. This is false, according to CZ. And then he threatened to sue Bloomberg over defamation. This would be the second time CZ would sue Bloomberg. The first time he won, and then I guess he's threatening to do it a second time. So yeah, don't threaten CZ. He will sue you. USDC. Circle, so the company that issues USDC, they went public just a few weeks ago. Very, very strong performer. Um, they have applied to become a bank. So they applied for their bank license in the United States. They will be a non-traditional bank, though. So they will offer different services than what a bank would traditionally do. They want to do USDC reserve management and digital asset custody for banking services. It's a little bit gray to see what this will actually mean. Like I'm not
it's
exactly
kind of
certain.
centralized, right?
Yeah, super centralized.
Yes.
Super centralized. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, this company had a very successful IPO. Now they're
Yes.
going to get
They are
into
very transparent
the.
also. So
Compared to like Tether. Tether is
yeah, exactly. They are very transparent. So
man. That's another.
let's see how
That's
it
another
turns out.
question.
Either way, I wouldn't. I don't know. It's very centralized, as I said. So that's kind of like
Yeah.
what we, at least me, is trying to avoid.
Yeah. But they're getting into that business. JP Morgan and Citigroup are also trying to get into this stablecoin banking business. Whether I don't think this is a good question, actually, Rodrigo. And then we got to cut short. But Citigroup, JP Morgan, banks in general, do you think they're going to build their own blockchains for their stablecoins, or do you think that they're going to make their stablecoins and put it on an already existing blockchain like Solana, Ethereum, Sui?
I think both. Some of them will be risky enough to do that, to create their own blockchain, but would you get into a stable coin that it's on a blockchain that you're not familiar with, for example? Because me, I wouldn't. So, in my personal opinion, they will try both ways. It will be best for them to have them on their own blockchain. It will probably generate more cost as well, but I feel that they could be something. Well, we have seen it's not a bank, but similar to what PayPal did. They created like
Mhm.
their stable coin, but they didn't create like an own blockchain on that case. So for adoption to happen and for the asset to be actually considered, I will say that it will be better to have it on a blockchain like Solana or Ethereum. I will feel more confident about that than just entering a blockchain itself created by a bank. That's kind of
Hmm.
what, at least totally the opposite of what we aim to have on DeFi. But it's a very interesting topic actually, and it's very interesting that a lot of people, as we previously spoke, it now it crypto it's seen different. It's not people are not seeing it as like, oh, you are this weird dude that is doing weird stuff on your computer. No, now it's taking more in consideration. So some banks will probably launch stable coin on an active probably like Solana, most likely, or
Hmm.
Ethereum, due to how the networks work. But I'm sure that all others will like to have their own blockchain and have more control over the funds as well. So what will be the difference there? You have a stable coin on the blockchain created by the bank. What's the difference on having the money on the actual bank? Now that,
Hmm.
of course, it's digital basically, and you can see it. But I would prefer to have it on a blockchain like Ethereum or Solana, which I know is going to be more transparent, at least in terms of what I can see.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. And I think a lot of what the XRP people are saying is that these banks are going to choose the XRP blockchain to run
Yeah,
their stable coins on. And but then to that I say, okay, even if they do choose to run their stable coins on XRP, how does that affect the token price, the actual XRP token? Like, are of course, that's good for the Ripple, so the company itself, the technology,
yeah.
but why would the XRP token itself go up if Citibank or JP Morgan decided to use Ripple's technology? Like, why would the token go up though?
It could be maybe for gas fees on the network if it comes
Yeah.
to XRP, and that could also generate if the price goes up. But it's not a something that it's secure. So it's actually a good take. But I know that people is very bullish on XRP, and that's one of the main reasons, basically, due to
Hmm.
this technology that could allow this to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of talk about that. Um, and one last important point this week, and then we will close out for now. Bitcoin has now surpassed Amazon and has become the fifth most valuable asset in the entire world. Number one at the moment, gold at $22 trillion, Nvidia at number two at $4 trillion, Microsoft at 3 trillion, Apple at 3 trillion, and now Bitcoin at $2.4 trillion. Bitcoin is now
And
the fifth most valuable asset in the world.
they are getting tokenized now.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
And now all now Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, and gold, all these assets are available in a tokenized version as tokenized stocks, uh,
exactly,
or PAX G for gold. So
exactly.
big,
Very
big, big
interesting.
moves. Yeah, you can own all five of these assets right in your ledger now.
Exactly. And we can teach you
Crazy.
how to do it.
Yeah, and I'm happy to. Yeah, this and that last little bit was just about inflation. Inflation was a little bit sticky in June. It didn't go down as much as they thought it would, and that's why you see a little bit of Bitcoin took a hit yesterday because of that. But we have basically recovered to where we were
Not so
before
much.
now.
It recovered very fast.
Yeah, it did. No, people weren't too worried about inflation staying kind of high. It might June they were expecting it to be a little lower. It was a little bit higher, but not by much. But yeah, that's kind of it. Rodrigo, once again, thank you for coming on the pod. Is there any
You're
final
welcome.
words that you would like to say to the viewers?
Well, thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate the invitation. I'm very happy for this to happen. And I hope that this was helpful for you guys. If you want to get educated on everything, trust me that there's no place like the Centralized Masters. I will be more than happy to help anyone that attended this podcast. And I'm very happy to work here as a mentor. And DeFi for me, it's the future. It's not only about holding assets or anything. It's just, in my opinion, the future for finance. So and we are just seeing the beginning of it. It's a lot more to come.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode. I hope you're walking away with some clear strategies and insights to push your DeFi journey forward. Remember, DeFi is evolving fast, and staying ahead means taking action with the right knowledge. If you're ready to dive even deeper and want a roadmap to build your own DeFi success, check out our DeFi Masterclass. The link is in the description below. In the training, you'll receive clear hands-on strategies to maximize returns, manage risk, and truly make the most of what DeFi has to offer. From all our mentors here, myself, John, Rodrigo, Filippo, and many more. You will see many more of them coming on the podcast as well, and even from our CEO, Tan. So make sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss next week's live episode. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and I'll see you here next time on Decentralized Masters. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks, everyone.